I had a little funny feeling here a few minutes ago, and I remember a story. And there's a couple of them that I want to share with you this morning. Man walks into church and he sits through the service, and not a bad message according to what he probably was hearing. And as he was leaving the church, the pastor stopped him. And see, the man was wearing cowboy boots, blue jeans, and a denim shirt. I can't say that word that great. And the pastor said, Sir, he said, glad you came to visit with us this morning. He said, but if you come back, he said, what you need to do is go and pray and ask God, what should you be wearing to church? So the next Sunday, the gentleman came back, sat in the service, had his jeans, boots, and denim shirt on. As he's leaving, the pastor said to him, Sir, and he goes, yes. He said, I thought I instructed you last Sunday to go pray and ask God what you should be wearing to church. He said, but evidently you didn't do what I instructed you to do. And the man said, oh, yeah, Pastor, I sure did. And the pastor looked at him amazed, and he said, well, I'm confused. What did God tell you? God says, I don't know how I'm supposed to dress in that church. He said, because I've never been invited. How many people really feel welcome when they come into your church? How many people feel love when they come into your church? Do you greet them? Is there a greeter? Do you hug them? Do you tell them, we're happy to see you? Do you make them feel at home? Do you make them feel that this is a place they want to come back to again? Would they want to come back? What did you do as a people to make them want to return to that house of worship? Man walks into church and he's homeless, and he goes to the front of the church and he's looking for a place to sit. There was plenty of room before he walked in, and the people spread out. And he goes and he wants to hear the gospel. So he goes up to the front, right in front of the altar, and he sits down on the floor, and the people are going, oh, look at him. What's he doing? What's he doing? Then this old gentleman gets up, walks over, and he said, can I sit down with you? And the man said, yes. And the old man said, now I can get down. He said, but sir, son, you may have to help me up. So he sits there and he's talking to him, and the homeless man says, I probably shouldn't have sat here, but I didn't find a pew that I could sit in. He said, it's okay. And he said, well, what's the pastor going to say to you for sitting down here with me when the others wouldn't move over so I could sit in the pew? And the old man says, don't worry about it. He won't get upset. And the homeless man said, how do you know? He said, because he's my son. See, God said his son, his only begotten son. He doesn't care about the outside of man. God cares about the inside. That's what he's looking for. He's not looking at the color of our skin. He's not looking at our weight. He's not looking. People, you've got to realize, we had a blessing at our church about 4 or 5 years ago. This little blonde-haired girl walks in with her aunt. And as I'm preaching, I keep looking at her, and I keep looking at her, and I'm going, what is it, God? What is it? She had the most piercing blue eyes, blonde hair. And God is speaking to me. And I finally said, I stopped preaching. I went over and said, honey, what is it you need? And she said, I've got terminal cancer and I'm dying. We went to a church down the street for prayer. And because my aunt had on jeans, they told us we couldn't come in. They missed a blessing because of a pair of blue jeans. We prayed for that little girl. What's happened to her since? I heard she was still alive. I can't confirm it because never saw her again. Or were we entertaining an angel that night to see if we would receive her and her aunt in the house of worship? It doesn't make any difference what people are wearing. Their best may not be your best, but it's the best they have. Jeans, shorts, jogging pants, sweatpants. Who really cares as long as they're coming to hear the word of God? God will change. It's not our job to change people. It's up to God to do the changing. We just present the word of God. Show them love. When they're leaving for that day, were they given the visitor's card and given a chance to say, I want to hear from the pastor or visit? Do you call them and say, we're happy? Our church sends out a letter to every visitor, thanking them for coming with my phone number. See, I'm this way. My phone stays on 24/7. I'm not just a pastor to my church. I'm a pastor to the world. If somebody needs me, I get contacted on Facebook. And it's all confidential, but people will reach out to me because they know I'm going to give them hope, and that hope only comes through Jesus Christ. I have over 1,200 in my congregation by being who I am and where I am as a substitute. I'm there. I can't preach the gospel there, but I can listen. I can give hope. And isn't that what Jesus is about, is hope? Can you welcome somebody without worrying about what they look like or smell like? Can you get past that? Went to Rod Poshley's church in Ohio, and I was part of his ministerial fellowship. I was ordained through him. And he had his ministers to pray for people, and God pointed me to a lady, and I went up to her, and she had been burnt in a fire. She still had the smell of fire on her. Even after years, it was still visible. I said, God, I can't pray for this woman. I don't know what to say. I don't have the ability. And God said, it's not about your ability, it's about my ability. And when I prayed for this lady, I think I got blessed more than she did. And I said, God, will she be healed? He said, she's mine. Just obey me. Who will you touch even this day? Will you reach out? Who will you be Jesus to today? God bless you.